Hey, Will Roberts here, of course, Lights, Camera, AI. If you don't know what this show is, I used to have a show called Acting Up Radio, and then I had Film Festival Live. I keep trying to bob and weave depending on what's happening. And now you'll hear the Lights, Camera, AI. And primarily, and by now, you'll see this episode, you'll know that an app that I created and took 6 months of blood, sweat, and code with one of my other guys and created this myauditionai.com, which is this whole intense AI suite. But I say AI suite, what I mean by that is that all these great tools like self-taping tools, scene analysis, it's good for directors, it's good for actors. It's really cool, a lot of neat things. And I didn't put it together like a developer. I put it together like an actor and someone in the industry watching our industry tank, and knowing that there's two things happening out there in our industry. One is everybody's walking around like Fred Flintstone going, or who's Snag, which way did he go? Which way did he go? We're all wondering what the hell's happening. And then on top of it, in all the people I've spoken to recently, there's a very good percentage of people in the industry that are like, AI, that's just bullshit. I'm not, and I'm here to kind of soften that blow a little bit, just because I found, and actually today's guest, I've had conversations with him, numerous conversations with him about the pros and cons of what's happening in the industry. Absolutely, and I'm not just saying this because he's on my right or left. He's on my right. Anyway, I'm not just saying that because he is who he is, and he's a really great director. He's really knows so much about the industry, teaches a great course if you want to make films. And I say that with this in mind, that there are lots of places you can go around and get your traditional, like I'm going to go to Harvard or LA or a New York film, whatever. Michael Pfeiffer is my guest today, and I just started using Zoom. I used to use Ecamm where I could call in shit and do this and do that, but he's there, and I'm not going to edit it out. He's going to be there and he's going to respond like an actor in a scene. But my point is that he has such a vast knowledge of this industry, not only because he went to school, but because his father, his family, what he does. He's created what I call the best one-stop shop. If you have an idea for a film, he can literally take the whole thing and put it into this atom and then explode it into an amazing production. I've done, I don't know, five, six, seven, something like that, films with him. We get in there, we turn and burn. He hires people that know what they're doing. Anyway, the reason why I called him in today is because I would say he's probably one of my top on the list in regards to this conversation. He can talk days about lenses, about lighting, about what actors do and what they don't do, and all that other fun stuff. So let's skip past all this other shit that I started in the beginning and just start off with welcome, Michael Pfeiffer.
Hey, Will. Hi. I don't know. Am I actually to your side or am I? Because I only see me and you. But
Well, you got that thing you can slide over, and it's got two dots on the bottom. Will give you either me and you, or me or you.
I got me at the top and you at the bottom. But whatever
Okay,
design you got.
I'm you're
By the
for
way, by the
me.
way, I didn't go to film school. Just so you know.
And you know what? I said that just in case you did. I don't want to insult academia. I don't want to, because look, I didn't even graduate anything. I just kept going places, and
Well,
I came.
there's certain industries where you have to go to school to get a job in that business. So I went to school for architecture with the intention to be an architect.
Oh
But
wow.
you don't have to have go to school. You don't have to have a degree. You don't have a diploma. They don't care what GPA you have. None of that matters at all. You might
No.
as well go and work on a film and be paid. Now,
Yeah.
you take my class, that's not the same. That's 5 nights, as
Yeah.
opposed to
Oh, it's
a
intense.
year. What's that?
It's intense.
Yeah, it's intense, but it's not 4 years of your life to get a degree that you
Yeah.
don't need.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm all about the school of hard knocks and just working and hard work
On
and
the job training. On the
yeah.
job training. Well, actually, that's really it's interesting that you start off with that, because there's a couple of things I'd like to talk about with that, and that is number one. Yes, in the beginning, we used to go, well, you went to this school, you went and trained with these acting coaches or film or TV, whatever you do on camera, all this stuff. And it's funny now because of AI and because I'm going to just say in general, social media and in regards to just general laziness,
Mhm.
people, you can be a lawyer yesterday and an actor today working next to Brad Pitt. Of course, you'll probably be an extra, but the point is that I've always been, mainly because I grew up south side of Chicago and my parents didn't, have much going on, but I didn't like couldn't go like, hey mom, dad, throw me down a couple $1,000s to go to school. But I also realized very early in my life and my career back in the 80s that if I just did a lot of things and learned a lot of things, I learned more out of school than I did in school, that I believe applied knowledge and being able to look at yourself and in a perspective of going like this works, this doesn't, how do I do this, how do I do that, and of course constantly trying to learn. But I'm going to use the analogy really quickly. It's like a doctor. A traditional Western medicine doctor will go and get educated, and they will learn about every drug and every procedure you can possibly know. Then you get a naturopathic doctor, and they have to learn how to be a doctor, like a real doctor, but yet they learn about what preventative things are constantly out there. Regular Western goes, I learn about procedures, new drugs, and we go to conventions, have a good time, and find out how we can get all kinds of cool swag about drugs. And then we find out that that shit's killing us.
That's
And then
another
they,
conversation.
yeah, it is another conversation. But the point is that with this industry, you're right. You don't have to have any education. You can quit your job today, go be a voiceover person, be an actor, be a filmmaker, whatever. Now, why I like what you do and how you do it is because you can take anybody that says, I really have always wanted to make film. I'm gonna make it on my camera. And I'm gonna, or I'm gonna grab a red or a whatever. And you have that really kind of like concentrated orange juice version of filmmaking and go, 5 days, intense. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. Then you keep in contact with them, and then you put them on your films. Because I've been on films. Billy the Kid, I believe you had one of your guys shooting that.
Yeah, Zach, one of the guys, Zach took my class.
Yeah.
And then I said to anybody in the class, hey, if you want to come be on set, you can be on set. Well, he flew all the way out to Arizona and he showed up and I said, well, there were 4 days left in the shoot. I said, well, Zach, you could just sit next to me, director's chair, and watch and be a, just be an ear and listen, or you can get to work. What do you want to
Yeah.
do? He says, I want to work. I said, okay, get
Yeah.
on B camera and start operating.
Yeah.
And he operated B camera for the last 4 days. And I taught him how to pull focus and f stops. I mean, he had already learned that in my class, but here he's
Yeah.
like, and we do a day with camera,
Hmm.
but here he was actually working because the actual physical aspect of making movies is not really that difficult to learn. What's
No.
hard to learn is all the instinctual stuff that takes time and
Right.
experience to
Yeah.
learn. That's why when we get into conversation about AI, where AI is an amazing tool, but you also have to know how to use the tool, so you need
Yeah.
experience, where you
Yeah.
use the shots, what you use, and
Compliment. Compliment.
right. So
Yeah. Well, with that being said, again, the conversation today, I'm just kind of freestyling here like we do anyway. Like if I get on a conversation with you, and we might go off onto lenses or we might go off onto lighting or you might go into your whole process. But I just have to tell you again, I'm pretty amazed that you actually, that the industry and the world of filmmaking has finally kind of caught up to you. And what I mean by that is that again, the industry is standing around everywhere in the world, and they're going, I don't know what's happening. What was traditional, I was just speaking to a friend of mine, Rick Zeef, who's one of my co-hosts sometimes. He's a big voiceover guy, spent, you know, 30, 40 years doing a lot of like guest star roles on Bones and so on, really well-known actor. And he's like, I don't know how to talk about the industry anymore. And I said, yeah, you're right, because we had COVID, and actors before COVID would go like I did 3 or 4 times a week to LA, 2.5 hours each way. And we'd go in there and do our thing. And that was all we were expected to do is our thing. which is go in there, have the script memorized, do it or read well, and you'd audition. Now you have to know how to audition, how to shoot. And by the way, there's my green screen set up. You got to know all of it. You got to know sound. And now, on top of all that, you really do have to know a little bit about AI, because if you do, you can really take and be more effective and efficient as one person, as opposed to before. But there's more jobs available. Don't let them fool you. You just have to be very, like you are. You have
Right.
to be able to have something and go, I'm not sitting around.
Well, what you have to do, so the industry, I can tell you multiple reasons why the industry's changed drastically. And so you have to change with the business.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, you can't stop innovation. You can't stop change. So for instance, movies were made on film, you
yeah,
know, movies were made on film without sound. Then sound
yeah,
came along, movies were black and white. Then color came along. So
yeah,
people had to adjust. Then digital came along, well, there was VHS. Then VHS got pushed out by DVD.
yeah,
DVD's been pushed out by streaming, with all digital stuff.
yeah,
Also, it used to be that American movies were the greatest movies and nobody could duplicate what we did. Well, now everybody can make a movie just
yeah,
as American movies actually a lot better in some cases,
yeah,
like one best picture, right? It's a Korean film. Uh,
yeah,
so movies can be made all over the world, which means that movies aren't focused entirely in the United States, unfortunately. Um, so you have that, and then you have, of course, this and
yeah.
people wanting to watch here. And now we have Chinese companies making verticals, you know,
Oh,
and that's a huge business right now, just shooting
yeah. Two
vertical.
billion. 2 billion.
I don't know how much I believe, to tell you the truth, because I don't know anybody who's watching verticals. I don't quite understand what's going on with the back end of that business, but I know they're making a lot because I've been asked and I've walked away. And I said, they don't want to pay enough money, and then they want to do
Yeah.
too much, and they want to hire people who don't know what they're doing. And so I don't know. We'll see if I end up making any verticals, but my point is that you have to adjust. You have to be bob and weave and move according to what's going on in the business. No matter what. Well, the interesting thing about AI, so no matter what, making movies, the hardest part about making movies and the genesis of everything generally is finding money. You got to find money to make a movie, no matter
Yeah.
what.
Or have it.
Or have enough money that you can do everything yourself and not do anything else for those 3, 6, 5 months, whatever you're doing to make the movie through post production. So finding the money, but AI is creating an opportunity for people to make content without actually needing any money, basically,
Yeah.
very little money, and you can make spectacular stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, I really like I really like Justine Bateman. I really like listening to Justine Bateman talk about this stuff. I don't know if anybody of you have ever,
I have. Yeah.
if you go on YouTube, you type in Justine Bateman, you'll find a lot of interviews with her. She's a really intelligent woman who's really thought deeply about all this stuff, and she hates AI because they're stealing all of content, everybody's stuff, and even though it doesn't look like that content anymore, that's how they call it scraping away at the
Uh-huh.
internet, you know?
Yeah.
And I totally understand that. The problem is it's not going away. I mean,
No.
I love how things are built and technology and all that. And
Me too.
my wife and I were driving down to Montgomery, Alabama. I live in Atlanta, and we passed by the Kia factory in I think it's West Point, Georgia. And I said to my wife, "We got to take a tour of that factory." So I'm not taking a tour of a car factory. I said, "We got to take a tour." And so I went on the internet, and you could take a free tour of the Kia factory. They put you
Oh.
this little like golf cart train, and they drive you in the factory, and it's amazing because the factory is robots and people all working together. And it doesn't really look like the robots have taken over the dangerous jobs or the repetitive jobs. You still need people in there, and they're all working together.
Yeah.
And so, the car industry thought at first, well, robots are coming in and we're not going to have any work and they're going to replace humans. And the humans eventually recognize, well, we're not going to get rid of robots because you just can't, because it's just too innovative and it's too
Yeah.
necessary and it's cheaper and whatever. So everybody's going to work together. I don't know if they have less jobs now at that Kia factory, but they certainly have a lot of people working there, and they're working 3 shifts a day. They put out a car
Yeah.
at 53 seconds, and the place goes nonstop, 24 hours a day,
Yeah.
all year long. And there's robots. So my
Yeah.
point is that AI is kind of like a robot for movies. You got to innovate, you've got to work with it.
Mhm.
It's not going away. And I love
Yeah.
Justin Bateman, but as much as Justine Bateman rips on it and tears about it, and there's lawsuits,
Yeah. Open
uh,
AI and
Disney and
all
all of
that
them,
stuff. Yeah.
they're all suing, but it's still not going to go away.
No, it's not. And I'll tell you, you actually brought up exactly the conversation that I've been having for the last year, and that is that I always tell people that say AI is like I have an 11 and a 14-year-old. My 11-year-old's like, Dad, stop doing the AI. It's gonna take over. And I go, what does that look like? And like I finally got it out of him. And he thinks it's some like we're looking at like Transformers, some robot's gonna come in and take over the world. And I'm like, awesome. And he's a gamer. But here's the thing. The thing I tell people is I go, look, I know how you feel about this, but let's go backwards and think about the car industry. Remember back in the day, you probably don't. I was there, you were there, when they went on strike because they were like, we don't want robots taking over our jobs. How'd that work out? Well, how it worked out was the people that knew the industry and were able to adapt and shift and bob and weave became the people that educated the robot things, and then they got good jobs. The
or
others,
learn
they're
how to build
probably
robots.
Uber drivers.
Learn how to build robots. Someone's got to build the robots. So those jobs might have been just gone over to people building and programming robots.
Yeah.
It's a different, but
Yeah, well, it also helps. I mean, there's a bit of there's definitely and we can have this conversation all day long. There's a bit of a lapse on people being productive in the world. And because they're going like, what do I have to do anything? All I have to do is blah, 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 and they'll spit it out. Hey, I'm all about the innovation. So are you. And I love the idea you can take VO3 and some other things like that and create a movie that will look like it's $100 million, because then your investors will go, damn, that looks good. Like we're talking about Valor, which is a military film I did with you. That you're like, Will, like this is way before, not way, but before like really AI started really snowballing. You're like, I've got aircraft carriers, and I've got, and it's
it
gonna
all
roll this truck, and I'm
Google
like,
Google VO3 came just in time. Let me tell
I
you,
know.
because I was having a hard, it's a super low budget movie, and I try to find visual effects guys all over the world to do the visual effects. I was having a hard time. I have a guy now in Bangladesh who's doing my effects, but I actually Google VO3 came out in just the perfect time. I actually did like 60, 70 shots myself.
Damn.
And so yeah, I've got aircraft carriers and I've got missiles and I've got truck flipping over that Will somehow
Yeah.
out of and lands on the ground. Don't ask me how he landed safely and he's alive, but he is. And that's called suspension disbelief. But let me tell you, though, back up here about how I use AI, because I think that might be interesting to your audience and I
Yeah.
think useful. So I use AI in a variety of ways. Now, something to remember, the AI really pisses me off, okay, because it doesn't always listen. And I don't
Right.
understand why these robots don't listen. It really makes me mad. And I'll tell you in certain ways, okay? And someone's got to slap those robots around. And sometimes I do. They say like when you're doing a prompt, don't say please because it just wastes
No,
energy,
just talk shit to them
right?
and go, come on.
But sometimes I'll yell at it. But so, for instance, if I have a script that someone gives me to read, I hate reading a script just like I have no idea what it is and start reading because most of the time they're bad. So what I'll do
Yeah.
is I'll stick it into ChatGPT or Claude AI or something. I'll say, give me a one-page treatment on the script,
Summary.
and it'll give me a summary and I read it. Now, sometimes though, you got to be really careful. The other day I did that and it gave me a totally different script. Like the story had nothing to do with the story I gave it.
Yeah.
And then I write back, it's like, this is not the story. Why did you do this? Oh, I'm sorry. I've made a mistake. Let me do it again. Like, so you have to be aware because could you imagine you read a script, you get a script, you get
Yeah.
the cliff notes of the script. I know you young people, if you know what cliff notes are, abbreviated versions.
Reader's
And you go to
Digest.
and then you go to a meeting and you're like, well, the character will, and they're like, there's no character will. What are you talking about? Because it'll do that. So you gotta be really careful.
It's
So
called, by the way, you know what that's called, right? It's called hallucinating.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
AI is the model is hallucinating. They've done pretty well as now that ChatGPT 5 has come out. And
yeah,
but I'll tell you what my favorite is I use Gemini, because
yeah,
Gemini is if you have any code or you really want to deep into it, Gemini is pretty much your deal.
right. Well,
There's
there's
a
only so
lot of
much,
them.
there's only so much time in a day, but I got
I know.
so so I use it to make synopses of scripts so I can read them. I also, whenever I schedule a movie, I have to sit there for like 3 hours and write one-liners of every single scene. Well, now I just give it to the AI. Give me a one-liner of every single scene, and it'll Pop that out. That just saved
Yeah.
me 3 hours of time.
Yeah.
I'll tell it to give me character description. Oh, when I was doing the casting on the last couple of movies, and I need a description of every character. I just have ChatGPT do that. I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
That saves me a lot of time.
Oh, a lot of time.
Breakdown services will do it if you're sometimes, but if you're not using them, and I don't even know if they do it anymore, you would know better. Um, so I use it for activities that are very time. Now, that's not to say sometimes I learn a script better when I'm writing all the one-liners, but sometimes there's
Of
no time.
course.
Sometimes I have to pump out
Right.
a budget and I just need to make a quick schedule.
Get
And
it done.
now the other day, I asked ChatGPT to actually make me an entire schedule for a movie, like a 15-day schedule based on location and all this. And it did it. Now, I would never use that schedule, but I needed to pump out a quick budget for somebody. So
Oh, sure.
I was able to use it to just go, oh, okay, we're going to be at this house for 3 days and this house for 2 days, and I need this location. Now, it wasn't exact, but at least it gave me an idea. So
Right.
that kind of thing, it helps. Now, another way I like to use AI is, let's say I'm writing a script and I could say, exterior Suez Canal, an American aircraft carrier floats, as the sun sets or something, and a plane lands. Well, I'll take that, I'll put that in the Chat GPT, and I'll say,
Image.
I'll tell it. No, I'll take the text and I'll say, write me a description with the tone of a Tom Clancy novel, but the emotion of a John Grisham movie or something, and it'll turn that
Yeah.
paragraph into a beautifully written
Yeah.
paragraph. And now that it's not cheating because that doesn't end up on film anyways. It's just a blueprint for how to make the movie.
Right.
It's not like
Right.
you're selling a book with that description in there,
Right.
So it's a great way to make your scripts look and read better,
Yeah.
and save you time because I can sit there and write that stuff too.
Of course.
It takes me 10 times longer than the AI.
Yeah.
The AI
Yeah.
2 seconds.
Well,
So
let me throw something out about that I think I really want to make clear to everybody that potentially is listening or even knows me is that look, I hear people all the time go, well, the problem is like you're going to write scripts with them and they're just taking, you go, I want a Spielberg style with a John Wick, blah, 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 and they're like, all you're doing is stealing, and I'm like, let me see if I have this right. You wrote a film on your own and you put it together and then you sold it to someone.
after watching a Spielberg film and a John Wick movie, and right,
So what is the difference? I mean, the
right.
difference is you're able now, which is exciting. I just got excited thinking about it because my wife and I, Professor, have had this conversation multiple times in the very beginning of AI and everything. And that is that this is the way we normally think. We go, I got to get this job done. I got to shoot this. I got to edit this. I got to do that. But because of ChatGPT and what's happened is that it really does allow you to widen your scope of thought and go, oh man, you know what? I never thought about that because I've been put together a script of a film I have an idea of called Dancing Dad. It's about a guy who whatever, and then dance whatever. But I'm like, I go, give me scene to scene, and I prompted it in there. By the way, when you all get a chance, go to the website. I want to tell you all about JSON file, JSON. I talked to you about it over the
I know, and I just started seeing it last night. I was watching YouTube videos. I'm like, he literally just mentioned it, and there it is.
Yeah, well, it's because it came through your phone. Uh,
Probably, yes.
but the JSON files and the build that you do, like if you're creating something, if you get it gets hyper specific on what you're trying to do because if you're prompting it normally, by the way, there's a great site called like Cowboy Prompt AI.com, something like that. It takes your normal prompts and you put it in there and it goes and it gives you this awesome, like totally and it's free.
Yeah.
So I'll put it in the notes for this
But
interview.
I still have a problem sometimes with these prompts. Like I'll say static camera, camera stationary, camera doesn't move. I'll say it over and over again, and it'll still move the darn camera. And like, at what point do I stop trying? And it just
JSON.
maybe,
JSON will take care of that because what it does is the problem with prompts is that prompts is like vibe coding, which I've done on my site. Vibe coding is basically going, I want a site that does this and does this and does that. The problem is all those little words in between are clutter for code. And
Right.
so what happens with a JSON file is it goes, "Ooh, that's a really pretty idea, Will." And they take it and they put it all into code. Like,
Mhm.
do this, do that. What color would you like it to be? Give it the color code, and it will do it if you show a picture. And you show it a picture, and the JSON file takes it instead of being this long bullshit thing, it Reader's Digest versions it into code, and it becomes very, 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 very specific. And I promise you'll see a difference. So mark that in your calendars, everybody. It's on the website. I'll be doing a little thing about that. But here's the thing. The thing is that I totally agree with you, but about all you've said. But what I think I want to push is that some people are used to being able to continuously learn, and I don't mean this to be rude, and some people just don't want to. And we're in that mode right now where you are either going to have to figure out how to bob and weave, or you're going to be working at Starbucks, Uber, or get your food, whatever they pick your food off the
Oh,
things.
listen, if it's a job to you, don't do it.
Yeah,
If it's a passion and something you like Will and I get along so well because we love making movies.
love
All of
it.
my friends that I get along with really are movie people. I don't really
Yeah,
get along too well with people who are movie people because I just love making movies. It's all I do all day long. I have like
yeah,
6 movies in post right now, you know.
yeah,
I'm I'm prepping another movie, you know. It's just what we do. It's our passion. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And to me, actually being on set making movies is really the life force. Like I'm always looking a way to be back on set, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so if you don't have a passion for it and you don't want to learn it, do something else. That's okay. But
Right.
you know, you really have to find the passion for it. And the nice things about making movies, you know, some people are unsocial and they feel very uncomfortable being on set with a bunch of other people, and you know, maybe AI is actually a perfect opportunity for them because they could be
Yeah,
home creating movies. You know,
yeah,
that's actually pretty cool when you think about it. You know,
yeah.
um, so I'm just saying though, if you don't really have a passion or desire, um, you know, you might not want to do it because you really gotta live the life. Like I literally, and Will, I know you do too. We
Yeah.
live the life, and
We
like
eat, live, breathe. We
yeah,
do. We digest it. Um,
I'm really in love with YouTube lately in that I can get such specific information. If I want to learn about the new Blackmagic Ursa 17K camera, I can just go in there and people have made all these reviews of the camera. You know, if I want to learn about Gronk or something, I go on there
yeah,
and do that. And I'm just like, it's like these little classes I'm taking over and over and over again.
yeah.
And my wife, she'll be like, you know, did you watch that Netflix show or did you? And I don't watch these shows
I
because
don't either.
I actually want to. I don't want to watch shows. I want to learn about making shows. You know, and I
Yeah.
know I should watch more. You know, but I do. I get in my, but you don't have to watch. She was watching Arrow, which was a like
Oh
a
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it was
But
horrible.
that's but see that I have this thing
I can
when
watch for
people
10 minutes. I got enough.
yeah, but yeah. Well, I have this thing like people, in my career, people have said to me, they go, "Oh, have you seen that movie? Have you seen this movie?" I go, number one, back in the day from like 2000 back to 82, I was doing a lot of theater. And I was also on set as a lighting stand-in or working and whatever. So I was just really busy learning it. Now, when people go, "Have you watched this and watched that?" I go, "No, my wife likes to kind of like binge watch in bed and whatever." And I'll catch some of it. But part of that to me is that I don't want to watch that because number one, it takes my time away from me doing it. But number two is that I'm not interested in other people's ideas right now. Now, what you said is brilliant and true is that I will spend all day going, I have a list of like, how can I work my gimbal? How can I do this? How can I know what I have? How can I get rid of this? And AI has really become a really good thing. I made a journal in my AI and I put every single thing. I keep going back to it and I go and I find it and I go back and keep doing it because the memory is in there. I go, hey, remember I talked about, how to shoot depth of field, whatever on my camera, whatever. To pull that up again because and it gives me these widened effects of what I want to try to accomplish. And you gotta love it because if you're a person that likes to learn and make what you're doing better, you're right. YouTube's great because it tells people what products are shit and the other products that you really should get. And it also really it's your college education.
Right. Well, it's your business too. You should know it. And
Yeah.
if you like your business, you should be, you know, investigating it at all times. You know, and if you're not, you might want to reconsider what you're doing, you
Yeah,
know.
well, yeah, because if you don't look, if you love to skateboard and all you do is get out and skateboard, that's great. But if you don't learn about what, the bearings and so on and the trucks and how to, you're kind of robbing yourself of the experience. Maybe that's my actor, like, what do you call it? Method acting, like I really like to be, but I do, and so do you. You're in that, you're on set. I've seen you. You're in mode. You're doing it. You're creating, and it's something that keeps us going. It's
Mhm.
what makes us happy doing that. I
Right.
want to. I want
And by
to.
the way, that's why Spielberg, Scorsese, Ridley Scott, they're like, 80, almost 80 years old, and they're
Still
still
doing it.
making movies.
Yeah.
I mean, how
Yeah.
many people are retiring at 65 and they're done and they're just playing golf?
Yeah.
Guys are
Well,
still
there's a good
contributing,
question for you. I should start putting that question into my interviews, and that is this. So, at what age do you think you're going to retire, Michael?
I won't. I won't. Why would I retire? What? This
And
is my
then if they
passion. It's not
say,
my job. What's
and
that?
if they say, if someone answers that question, go, well, in 5 years, I'll just stop the recording. Because I'm not interested in those people. Because look, I'm not trying to say, look, I'm trying to say you should live your life the way I want you to. But I will say that I can't envision not being useful for the industry and me not giving something, that I love to do and get excited about. And if that is being in front of a camera and back of a camera, what it happens to be, then so be it. But there it is. Let's shift. Do you have can I take a little more time?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to shift into now there's a lot of reports. I'm getting them from my managers, I'm getting them from actors, I'm getting from watching online. I specifically try to follow a lot of industry news, but we know that streaming's kind of dead. We also know that,
Streaming's not dead.
well, it's
Making
not
money from
dead,
streaming is dead.
but it's not working. Let's just say this. You've got the big boys, Netflix and all these other people. You've got us. And what you do, and this is I'm raising the question to answer, and that is that do you think now, because the streaming people are freaking out, and by the way, they're spending a lot of money on verticals. I saw and as an actor, I think I've told you this before, but I've seen let's say 100 auditions in a day and 90% of them are verticals. I
Amazing.
fucking hate it
By the way,
because,
just to interrupt you,
yeah.
the first vertical I ever saw, you know what it was? It was actually so when my brother graduated, my brother went to Harvard for architecture. He got his master's from Harvard, and then while he was at Harvard, he was working with the very beginning of Alias, Silicon Graphics work machines and
Okay.
software
Okay.
and modeling, and in fact, his degree in architecture had a minor emphasis in computer design, computer rendering and things. And
CAD, CAD stuff, you mean?
this is before CAD, and this was
Oh,
using computers to render out buildings and model buildings and things.
wow.
Anyways, he graduated architecture school and he wasn't sure what firm he was going to work for. He got a letter in the mail from somebody looking for somebody with an architecture background and with Alias Silicon Graphics workstation background. So that's computer graphic
That's his
rendering
thing.
stuff. And that was in 1992 or something. I don't know what it was.
Oh, wow.
Um, and so he took the job, and the job was with Douglas Trumbull. Douglas
Oh,
Trumbull is a special effects genius behind 2001 and Blade Runner. He basically invented IMAX.
oh,
If you've
yeah.
ever been on the Back to the Future ride or the Simpsons ride at Universal Studios, is where the ride is on the
Yeah.
gimbal and moves accordingly. Well, my brother's job was to help work on a motion ride and another event for the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas when it first opened up.
Wow.
So when the Luxor Hotel first opened up, they had a motion ride, but they also had a movie that Douglas Trumbull created, and it was a vertical movie. And the
Um,
screen though was like 60 feet tall. It was a
oh, wow.
and I remember these shots where you see like a planet down below and spaceships like going from place A to B, and then something happening in the mid ground and something happening up high, or a man standing because we're vertical, right? Standing and yelling at the screen. It was the first vertical I ever seen. It was Douglas Trumbull, who was actually the special effects genius behind all that.
That's
Um,
crazy.
he directed Brainstorm with
Yeah, I
Natalie
know that. Yeah.
Walker and all that. So that was the first vertical. Anyways, a little brief interlude there.
No, that's all right. Yeah,
Chinese
no,
didn't
no,
invent vertical.
it's not really anything. It's not definitely not new because of these guys and gals. But and I get it. Like I produced something 6, 7 years ago called DNA Dad that I've tried to bring back into play. But the problem with the verticals, there are many. One is I get it, corporate or big money people have said, hmm, we can spend a fraction of the money because they're 2 minutes long or
Right.
2 to 3 minutes long. And by the way, our we don't have to worry about everything over here anymore
Yeah.
because we're here. And
Yeah.
so I can shoot you really close and not have to worry about where you're at. I can show B-roll before and say you're in the forest and then go like this and put some shit over your head and you can produce things. So the ease of it, they're getting kids and the kids are getting more money. The kids are sometimes getting 8 to 1,000 bucks a day. And the folks like us, my age, are getting like the principals and the whatevers for 150 bucks. The problem is, and we have talked about this, is that they should be shooting them like this and then cropping them. And they're not. They're shooting them like this. So do you
They're
think as a
literally turning the
profession,
camera sideways. I
yeah.
just,
Do you think, I mean, it's ridiculous because in this day and
yeah.
age, I can tell you Caption AI, there's several apps I can tell you that you can put in your high res shit and it will make it into a vertical. The reason why that is important is because if I can take this here, 16 by 9, and crop it and make it into a vertical, I can give the actor the 16 by 9 and they'll end up with something for their demo reel. Do you think I'm going to show you a vertical on my reel next
Well,
to Oppenheimer, Studio City, and all the other stuff I've done, and
but even more
Valor and
importantly,
Billy?
you could frame for both, and you have a
Yeah.
horizontal that can go all over the world and play, on TVs, and you have a vertical that can play on phones. I don't understand what they're doing. I was talking to a Chinese executive about that, and she didn't know anything about movies, and I explained that to her, and she was just just
Arr,
shock and awe, like, really, you could do that? I'm like,
arr,
come on,
Scooby Doo.
yeah.
Well, but and that's the thing that really makes me irritated. On top of the fact that I have to say this, that every single person I bring up verticals to always say the same things. They go, "Oh, verticals, those suck," because they tend to really, really suck. And
But hey,
China
listen,
is,
I'm happy to do them if they pay me correctly and they pay me to make them. That's what I do. That's what I do as a filmmaker. I'm making a living making movies. I would love to make an art film. I made a really good faith-based movie in April that I'm very proud of. But
yeah.
I'm in the business of making content, and so if somebody comes along and wants to pay me correctly to make a vertical, I'll make a vertical. I have no problem
Do
with that.
I know your I call it one-stop shop model. It's brilliant and it's because I've always been like when I had my Wild West company, I'd say, "Hey, I'm a one-stop shop of the cowboy world." And the reason why is because I want to make sure that not that I have control over everything, but that I have control over everything so I don't have to worry about if Jane, John, or Fran show up to work, and also it allows you to move faster if you don't have to ask 16 people a question. Your
Right.
model of getting concept, writing it, pre-production, production, post-production, all this other fun stuff like that. Do you think that if someone said to you, I want you to do a vertical, do you think the price range would be the same type of thing? And how many would you, because they want you to shoot 100 of these. So are you going to shoot one long thing and then, bring it up and after a minute of height and whatever, and then bring it down and then bring it up? And you know what I mean? Are you going to, is it the
Well,
same kind of a price tag?
first of all, budgets are relative to how much people want to spend. You
True.
know, if someone has $1 million and want to spend $1 million, I'll spend $1 million. I'll find a way to
Sure.
spend it. I might tell
Of
them,
course.
hey, if you make something for $200,000, I have a better chance of making your money back. But if they want to spend $1 million, we'll figure out where the best place to spend the money
Yeah.
is. If they
Yeah.
only have 85,000 make a vertical, I'll figure out how to make it for $85,000. You
Hmm.
know, so um, the main thing, by the way, with making things on budgets and how you really save money is the smaller the crew, the cheaper it's going to be generally.
Yeah.
But sometimes smaller crew allows you to do things you couldn't do.
Yeah.
Uh, um, um, I mean, look, we shot Billy the Kid out in Arizona on two Western towns. I put everybody up in hotels, some people up in hotels. Uh,
It was awesome.
and we did it with like a 9-person crew, so
Yeah.
we figured it out.
And it looks
Horses,
phenomenal. And it
and it
looks
looked
phenomenal.
It looks phenomenal. But I don't quite know if I answered your question.
No,
Um,
yeah, I think you're saying that I'm trying to see if there's a difference from because there's definitely a difference prepped in putting together a vertical because you're shooting a movie, yes, but when you shoot a vertical, you have to kind of take those 1 minute episodes and bring them to a head to, coming next week. You have to, it's a different build. I mean, you could potentially shoot that on your iPhone 16 Pro Max and get away with it because it's going to end up on here
no,
and not on some,
my movie Mi Loca Quinceañera, I shot this entire montage sequence at the Santa
yes,
Monica Pier on the iPhone.
I know.
I just saw it all color corrected. Oh my, it looks just like the Sony FX9. You could compare it to anything. It's amazing how good it looks.
Yeah, and I just don't think that nowadays, when you look at, and this is going to dovetail into this last part I want to talk about, but I don't think nowadays with YouTube videos and people making $20 million on going like this, and the phone looks like crap, and everybody's like, "Roar," and they got a light on their back, and they're making millions and millions of views. I said this back when I was working for Fox Kids in the '90s. I said, "Oh, you see that film, Blair Witch?" I go, everything's changed now. It doesn't matter now. And they go, what do you mean? I go, you can shoot it through your underwear dirty. And no one will really care because you can call it art. Now, because everybody has the option to shoot on, which is really good quality, and produce it and shoot and get it out like that, I kind of think it's almost first come, first serve.
I'm gonna try to see if I can bring up something that I think is amazing. Um, you know, what this all comes down to though, really, is story and how you tell a story. And this is
Yeah.
where the AI comes along. You can have all the AI in the world, but if you don't understand the language of film, uh,
Yeah.
you really don't have anything anyways. But like I love looking at the making of things like the French Connection. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can see here, right? So this is a shot from the French Connection.
Oh, yeah. On the side rig.
And
Yeah.
look at that little teeny camera on the
Yeah.
side of the car. I mean, that's one of the most famous movies of all time, starring Gene
Yeah.
Hackman. And they weren't really doing they had their here's a picture of I'll zoom in here on very
Yeah.
kind of like Canon scooping camera or something, right? You know,
Yeah.
um, so even the French Connection or Steve McQueen and Bullet or back then, and they were using these little cameras that were all sort of developed during World War II for
Yes.
battle,
Newsreel. Yeah.
newsreels and being in battle and covering that stuff. And then there are shooting movies like that, but they're never questioning the size of the camera.
No.
It's really the lenses. The lenses are really critical, but
Yes.
it's where you place the camera and what story you're telling,
Yes. And the
how you're
lighting and
telling the story and how your
the
performances are. And you live or
composition.
die by your
Yeah.
actors, by the way. You
What's
really live or
that?
die by your actors. You can have the biggest budget movie in the world and you can hire a crappy actor. Your movie's never going to be good. It's just not
No,
going to be good.
it is. No, it isn't.
You hire a great actor and it just lights up. It's just magic.
Yeah. I'll tell you, interesting little notice is that when you talk about scripting, you know, I'd say in a year, I probably do 1,000 auditions and reads and so on. I have to tell you, and I know you know this, but there is an enormous amount of garbage out there. And
Uh,
when you
yeah,
read this and you do the scene, you go, I'm in my studio going, how am I supposed to make this work? I
right,
mean,
right.
well, why wouldn't you just say that to get us here? And you do, I don't even know what you know what I feel like sometimes people write, and you understand this one. Sometimes I feel like people write to be trendy. And they're like, oh, if I just do this and the person's got an arm coming out of their face and they're going to turn into an AI, that'll be great. And you're like, you didn't think this out. There's no writing in this. You're just trying for a bit or something. And it's just
Now check
amazing
check
how bad.
check this out. I don't know if you can hear my computer when it plays. Let me tell me if you can hear my computer. Um, can you hear my computer at all? Let me.
You know?
Activation. You can hear that. The other is really low. So what? So I'm editing. I'm finishing editing this movie, and there's a scene where a guy's on a phone with his wife, and I need to bring in an actress in post to play the wife. And you can just barely hear the wife, because it's on the phone and
Yeah.
we're not seeing her side of the conversation, but it needs to be very dramatic. And someone just did a temp voice and it wasn't very good. And it was late and I was editing, and my wife's an actress, but I'm not going to wake her up to go do this voice. So I went on Google VO3, and I did a prompt for a character, a woman, crying, and I gave her the dialogue to say, I can't deal with this anymore. You've got to stop. You have to come home. Things like that. And I did like 5 different parts of it, and then I put in her dialogue, and hers is just VO, and then his dialogue and her and and the performance is amazing. The girls perform, and it's completely fake. The girls' performance is amazing, you know. And so, is it replacing actors in some places? Yeah, and I don't know if
Yeah.
on American Valor, I don't know if I told you this, but we love. I don't know if you know Sean Tira. Sean works for me as a script supervisor and line producer, and I love Sean to death, and he knows that. And but he played a news reporter, and his performance wasn't very good, and so the news reporter you see in the movie is actually a character from Google VO3.
An avatar.
It's an avatar, and the guy's performance, and Sean watched it and he's like, oh yeah, he's way better than me, and the guy doesn't exist.
Well, I'll tell you, I
And I
will
know
say
Justine
that
Bateman would be mad, but I gotta
that's
do what I
funny. I'll
gotta
tell you, I think one of the easiest fixes on funky AI is, and you just said it, which is it's correct editing. Because if you let an AI go for a certain amount of time, you kind of go, yeah,
yeah, you gotta.
maybe. But if you edit it out, but I also think the tolerance of AI is going to become less, because when you got Coca-Cola making a $5 million commercial for $500 with VEO3, I got
Yeah.
bad news for you. You're either going to be at the station or the train's going to leave without you. So, last thing I want to say really quickly, certainly appreciate it, Michael. First of all, what is the website that we can find you? Is it still Michael Pfeiffer Film?
No, no. PfeifferFilmAcademy.com still
Yeah,
up.
that's what I meant. Sorry about that.
Pfeiffer
Pfeiffer.
Film Academy, but Pfeiffer spelled F as in
I
Frank,
know, F E
F as in
I
Frank.
F E
Yeah,
R. I
right.
I have a
Yeah, yeah.
tattoo of it because I've been saying it wrong for so many
Well,
years.
Michelle messed it up because she's Pfeiffer.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, she is.
and you can always go on Facebook, and my Instagram is the Michael Pfeiffer.
Yeah,
So I don't know, I think just for me, just keep making movies. I think for anybody out there, just engulf yourself in it. But I will say this, Will, if you got a real job working at like Delta and you got a pension coming in like 20 years, don't leave your day job.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Don't leave your day job.
do it as a passion until it becomes better than your day job, but don't leave your day job because
Yeah,
there's a lot to be said for day jobs where you have a check coming every week and you're making good money and you got a pension coming. There's a lot to be said for that. You got perks in the company, you got insurance, health insurance. There's a lot to be said. It's not an
yeah.
easy life doing what we do.
Uh,
Uh, uh,
that's an understatement, by the way.
yeah,
That
it's
is
not
an
easy.
understatement.
Trust me,
And
my wife,
you really, really, really have to have. I think it's the worst career in the world. And I always say this, people go, well, that's not a nice way of putting it. I go, no, my daughter asked me 14, like, I want to be an actor. I'm like, she's like, what's your advice? I go, don't. But I mean that in the sense that if you said it earlier, if you really truly don't love it and wake up every morning going, okay, I want to do this, I got to do that, I got that, then you really shouldn't do this, because it's a really big passion project. Last thing I want to say really quickly, and just a comment on this, is that America is having a problem with film and TV in general. I've listened to reports. I've heard my managers say that they're trying to find a lot of work for me in the UK, because the UK doesn't really, they don't want to come here, they whatever, because they're afraid of this or that or whatever the case may be. And we already know, I've had people say, oh yeah, Atlanta's booming, and other people going, nah, bullshit. And then South Carolina and Texas and all these other
100%.
places.
I was
We
just in
know LA has become sort of a ghost town. We got that. But that's a lot of it because they've not had the proper incentives. And I think the union, sorry, has, with all the strikes and everything, which is another thing. They have a strike about AI usage and everything. I'm like, what a waste of time to sit there and have this much resources and pay those top brass two, three, $500,000 a year for them to put us into another strike and go, yeah, it's all about you got to get your rights in AI. I'm like, yeah, okay, good luck. What's your thoughts about what filming in America? Are these places busier than they're saying? Overseas, you made a good point earlier about a lot of good shit comes out of overseas and has because of more artsy, whatever. What's your thought on that?
Well, I think that the only way to stop studios from going overseas is is really actors, A-list American actors saying, "Nope, I'm not going to make that movie here. You're going to make it here." That's the only way, I think.
Yeah,
A-list American actors are not doing that. They're like, "Hey, you want to shoot in UK? I'll go to the UK." It's and the reason why, like for instance, the Marvel movies left Georgia to go to the UK is because the UK Georgia has a 30% incentive, and the UK has a 40% incentive.
yeah.
Georgia has union crews that require pension and health and insurance and all that. And in the
They
UK,
don't.
they don't have to pay insurance because they have
No.
universal health care. And also they're a bit cheaper. So
Yeah,
the studios are going to go where they can save money. The only way to stop it, I think, really is for A-list actors to say, nope, not going to do it. If you want me, you got to shoot in America. Um, so they're probably not going to do that. It means that you're in the business of going all over the world. And I think all American crew and cast should consider shooting all over the world. I mean, those Lord of the Rings movies started off, people were going over to New Zealand nonstop, and nobody had been to New Zealand before. And when
yeah.
Peter Jackson said,
Non-union.
non-union. I know, but we got to work, and I'm sorry, but SAG is not doing a darn thing to help actors. In fact, I don't want to get into politics of SAG too much, but personally, I think that SAG, they have to be in bed with the studios as much as they're in bed with the actors, because that's kind of their play. And
Yeah,
so I don't trust the union where 99% of their actors aren't working.
yeah.
It's not really a union anyways, it's a guild. Um,
It's a guild. Yeah,
but they're not helping actors get work. And if they wanted to, they should say to their very top actors, they should say to Tom Cruise, dude, you're American. Stop making movies in the UK. You can shoot the
yeah,
Mission Impossible in America. You don't have
yeah,
to be in the UK,
yeah,
and make a $20 million less money. That's what I think has to happen. But SAG isn't going to tell them that because SAG's afraid. SAG needs to get
yeah.
some balls, to tell you the truth. Um,
No,
so
I agree with you on the union thing. I hate to say it, but unfortunately, despite their foot cutting off their nose, I just don't think that. I mean, they have elections coming up, and I know two friends of mine that got Larry Poole is now again the. It's funny because I talked to Larry and I'm like, why would you do this for another 2 years when is anything actually happening? And I think I love him and you love him. We
yeah,
know
of
him,
course.
but he is into that whole little he likes that what's happening, the powery thing. And I don't mean that to be negative. I mean
Well, it's
that,
a community too, and I know he's in San Diego. That's his main. And there's a
yeah,
nice
and
community,
he's
and it's a nice
helpful.
way to build community. I don't think. I mean, SAG doesn't really do any events out here in Georgia. I get these things with events happening for the DJ. I'm not in the DJ or the PJ or SAG.
Yeah,
And one of the reasons there's they don't care about anywhere else but Los Angeles, and yet
I
nothing's in
know.
Los Angeles. So
Yeah,
I know the whole thing. I like being independent. I tell you, Will, I just made a movie that was a slightly bigger budget where I had a crew of like 25, 30, and logistics. I can't stand dealing with people have to go to the bathroom, they have to eat, and I need
yeah,
trailers, I need generators. I'd rather make a small movie with a 7-person crew. We made
yeah,
American Valor. We made a war movie with
yeah,
Humvees, convoy trucks, great
yeah,
set, guns,
everything.
everything. Did you count my crew? There were 7 of us, a seven
Yeah,
crew.
that's why I
And we did
said
that.
you
What did we do
have
for
a
lunch, Will?
shoestring
What did
you
we
have
do
a
for lunch?
shoestring crew, but they're stealth. I mean, they know you
Right.
guys know exactly what you're doing, and that is really the. Look. I wish I've had several projects that I go. If I just had a crew like yours, that that you could just dial in and you knew they were going to show up to work every day. One last thing I want to say
By the way,
about.
I don't want to leave that hanging. I was saying, where did we go to lunch?
Oh
We
yeah,
we went out to lunch. We didn't take
yes,
lunch. We all just got in the
that
cars,
was awesome.
lunch, and then we come back to work like normal
The
people.
local.
We don't eat in the dust. If we have to, we have to. But
Yeah.
then when you have a small crew, you could do that.
Yeah. Well, the last thing I want to say about this is that, it, again, I'm gonna end where I started, which is what you do. is now catching up to the industry because, again, I believe the big boys are now with us. And the people like you and me, mainly you, because you really are producing things that are getting on these platforms because you have been doing this, you have connections, and you have good quality. But the point I'm trying to make is that this is like, again, the most perfect time if you want to have you make a film for someone, or if they want to put together something, because I just got to say that I'm seeing that some studios are buying scripts that are not even completed yet. And the point is that we now, because of AI and your type of model, can be in the same sort of category of $100 million film, Valor, American Valor, because of what you're taking and putting it all into this package to
Yeah.
make. And it's different. And if you don't take advantage of this type of technology and your passion, then maybe you should be working at Starbucks.
By the way, I don't want to act like we're in a vacuum in that I know that Netflix and Apple and Hulu and Amazon, they're spending billions of dollars on content. So if you have
Yeah.
an opportunity to get in with them, network, network, network. If you have a
Yeah.
friend, try to get in with them because they're spending so much money, but they're not employing everybody.
Right.
So I don't want to act like we're in a vacuum. I know that, I
Yeah.
know that they're spending hordes. I mean, movies that come out that cost $50 million to make that did go theatrical and nobody knows what it was. There's a
I
great
know.
article that Steven Soderbergh was interviewed. He has a movie, Black Bag, I think, that came out
Mhm.
theatrically. It's cost something like $40 million. He spent a year or two of his life making it. And he said it was in the theaters for a week and then nobody saw it. He says, why am I spending a year or two of my life making this movie, dealing with all this nonsense and all these logistics when nobody's going to see it? What's the point? Why don't I just go back to making my little, sex lies videotape movies? And it's kind of interesting. So it's, sure, I'd love to get a big payday from Netflix. But in the meantime, we all, the people listening to this, you, me, we could be making movies all day long
Yeah.
right here on my patio, on my
Yeah.
porch, with my computer, you know, and
There
it's
it is.
cool. You can take advantage of it. So,
Michael
anyways,
Pfeiffer,
we could talk forever, Will.
we could. Michael Pfeiffer, Feifer. Check him out, of course, on his website. You can see it down below here. If you have any questions about the industry or you are interested in getting involved, I would say at this point, he would be a Jedi. He would be like Ben Kenobi at this point. And if you're interested in learning about film, TV, putting it together, look, blast through the learning curve, get it done right. I'm not trying to sell you, Michael, but
Well, I
again,
agree. But
what
also on
you've
the acting
done,
side, Will, on the acting side, I mean, people have got to know you know everything and anything about auditions, about
yeah,
casting, about getting parts, about how to behave when you walk in a room, how to do
yeah,
a self tape,
yeah,
all these things, understanding the breakdown services and
yeah.
actors access and all those things. That's like, you're a master of all that
That's
stuff.
my deal. Yeah.
There's a lot people can learn from you
Oh, I
with
appreciate that.
that whole world,
And that's why,
whole world unto
again,
itself.
right. And that's why, again, I'll close by saying myauditionai.com. It'll blow your mind when you check it out because it just has everything that's 1, 2, 3 ABC to be able to start, get your sides, create the script. I even have an element in there now where you can take your audition, put it back into my system, and it will evaluate technically if your light's in the right spot, if your voice sounds good, if the reader sounds good, and the other part of it, it will tell you if you reached your objectives that you talked about with my coach AI, Stanislavski, Meisner, all these different people, letting you know if you reached the goal. So very excited by all that. I'm mainly excited by all that because this is the type of thing that like Michael does what he does, I do what I do, and we will be the people that move the industry along and give the power back to the people. I hate to sound and make that sound political, but it is the truth. I mean, you got something, do it, film it, make it happen. I know so many people that have made thousands and thousands of dollars every month off of YouTube, even if you just do good content creating. All right. Hey, lights, camera, AI.
Gardeners are here.
Yeah,
Can you hear the lawnmowers now?
I can't.
You can't hear the lawnmowers? Oh my gosh. I can't even hear
Nothing.
myself. Too
Oh, by
funny.
the way, side note, if you are a person either producing a voiceover or you're doing any kind of like interviews like this, or you're trying to fix your stuff in post and it's really scratchy, there's a site called podcastle.ai, pod, P-O-D, castle.ai. phenomenal. You can take your stuff in there and it goes, and and I could be in a New York downtown going, oh, here are my lines, and it will make it sound like we do now. So I didn't hear your machine, but even if I did, I'm going to put it through that.
Oh,
And it
wow.
sounds
Wow.
perfect. All right. Thanks for hanging
All
out
right.
with me, Michael. I will see you very soon, hopefully on set.
Thanks. All right.
All
Bye.
right,
Well,
buddy. See
everybody.
you later. Check
See
out
ya.
the site. We're out of here. All right. Let me get rid of this. Oh, let me stop recording. Stand by,
Can't believe you
recordings.
can't hear those lawnmowers.
Not at
It's like
all.
literally like jet